mic'd up with Mikey Mahtook. Got the boys in. I got Lloyd. We got J. Mitch. We got Jackie Boy.
He tried to jump up and he might have knocked it in.
Good time, dude. Let's go. What a start to the Monday. I mean, I'm from Lafayette. My boys will come in and say,
oh, God. So me and Joe on the ground. I got Joe in the headlock. And he's sitting there, he's punching me in the stomach, like, punching me.
Here, is everyone sitting around? Who here thinks Chico can practice today after having 5 full beers? And he goes, Chad Jones, right? Chad doing the 6 minutes. For 7 minutes, right? Chad's like, no, man, I don't think Chico can practice today. And I was like, I look back, I'm like, Jesus Christ. I saw you there. You're more fucked up than me.
On the Spirit plane had some issues, I think. She was sleep farting.
you heard her or you just thought it was her?
I sat right next to her. I smelled it.
Whoa. What was that?
Time for the show.
Now, when you do go to spring training, are you gonna bring your chinchilla and your turtle? My dad tell you about it.
The SEC is, God, they hate fat people. I mean, I get crushed for that. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, man.
Hey, just the South, bro. You got a bunch of food down here. Like they should
Look at Lloyd.
You know what, Lloyd?
You're looking for a recruiting coordinator, coach. I'm here.
He's like, I'll piss my pants right now.
No way.
We're wearing gray pants, long gray pants. He goes, I'll piss my pants right now.
Hello, welcome back to Mik'd Up. Today is Monday, November 25th. We have a big day for you today. It is obviously the week of Thanksgiving. This will be the only time you see us live in person is on this Monday, this beautiful Monday, here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at our home at Indigo Papers, indigopapers.com. Go check it out if you're looking for any THC, CBD seltzers, or any of those things that you like, some tinctures, some things, anything that you like to dabble with. Go check them out. But we're here at our new home. We have a lot to talk about. Obviously, there's a lot of LSU football news that has been amongst us over the last couple weeks. A lot of recruiting news, a lot of recap of the game, a lot of what's to look forward to. Wacky weekend this weekend in college football. Obviously, the SEC is just cannibalizing itself. And you had some crazy, crazy wins. Obviously, Oklahoma just what?
Breaking.
Oh,
Me. J, tiger emoji. I don't know what it means. But
you got another guy.
Just another guy.
Another guy. You know what's crazy? This CJ Weinstein kid, I met him when he was 13 years old during COVID. Or is it? I guess that would be 13 during COVID. it's wild from talking to him.
It feels like forever.
And helping, I was giving they had reached out and we had some advice, and I was just helping him through some things at the young age. And now look at 18, he's a commit to LSU. It's a pretty cool thing. Obviously, newest commit. Obviously, there's another commit apparently now. Jay Johnson just tweeted another tiger emoji, which means there's another commitment announcement on the horizon.
Single-handedly saving LSU.
Yep. And look, there's a lot of football recruits coming out right now and saying that they're shutting down their commitments, which is good for the recruiting class. That signing day, early signing day, is December 4th, which is next week. Obviously, the big one.
What day is the cash advance day?
They must already have it. As you can see, our co-host Jared Mitchell is in his beautiful studio. His beautiful studio in his theater in Dallas, Texas.
I don't know if it's all that. I don't know if it's all that yet. But listen, we're here. We're having a good time.
We're there. They look great as always.
Yeah. So
how's the weather in Dallas? How's the weather in Dallas? Getting a little.
Oh, it's nice and brisk right now.
It's gonna get real. It's about to get real chilly, isn't it?
54 degrees outside right now. Kind of windy. Yeah, it feels good. I like it.
Yeah, but it's about to get real chilly right before Thanksgiving, I think, isn't it? Like gonna be almost freezing temperatures.
I don't know. I think so. I think he's getting down in the 40s this week, but I don't. Nothing crazy. I don't think. Well, I could be wrong. Who knows?
The reason why I say that is because me being the meteorologist that I am. When the weather gets cold over there, usually that comes towards us. We get that front, and that means we're following it. So on Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving here, it's going to be freezing. It's going to be cold. So I'd imagine that you are going to get that a couple days early. So, just keep an eye out.
Jared, you should have seen.
I don't know. We'll see. I don't know.
You should have seen Mikie on Saturday. The weather was so nice. He was in the best mood I've ever seen him in. It's unbelievable how much.
Tail just wagging the whole time. Just.
Hey, I was out there early.
It was so funny.
I was sitting down watching, and it was kind of a dead tailgating day, right? So, there wasn't a lot of people out there, which was great. Party Box was bumping, but, not super bumping. So, I was sitting down watching the Ole Miss game, watching some of the other football games, having a couple drinks, waiting for Lloyd to get there because I'm ready to gamble. It's the first time all year tailgating that I was able to, live bet, ready to go. Lloyd nowhere to be found. Showed up at 4 o'clock. In the afternoon. Really let me down.
You're lucky he showed up at all. That's you're lucky. I wasn't sure he was going to show up.
No doubt.
He was so excited. I was like, how far down the list I have to be for it to be like, I'm looking for anything.
No, dude, I text you.
Somebody throw the stick. Who has the tennis ball?
That's not true. That's not true. But listen, lot more to talk about. Let's finish.
He knows how true that is.
Let's finish these Heineken headlines. LSU basketball, big win, 3 overtime win at the Greenbrier against UCF. That's 2 wins against the Big 12 so far in the non-conference. Road win at Kansas State, neutral site win at the Greenbrier. They didn't play great early in the game, came back, down 20, came all the way back, goes into triple overtime, wins the game. Big win when you look down the road for the March Madness and getting into the field of 64, or at 68 now. Because you have those playing games.
Make it 70.
That's whatever. Make it 100 and make everybody's
in.
Screw it.
College football's well on their way.
Yeah, but the college football playoffs coming out tomorrow. It's going to be wild to see where they see where they rank these teams and see who's where and who's going to be pissed off. Arizona State kind of trying to sneak their way into the top 12, which is pretty crazy. But let's get to this past weekend. We talked a lot. We're gonna talk about what Brian Kelly said because he had a presser. A lot of things he said, I think people wanted to hear. Did he say that because that is actually what's happening, which I do believe it is actually happening. But now a lot of people wanted to hear these types of things. So is he clamoring to the crowd? Is he basically saying, hey, this is what we're doing because we asked for it? I don't believe that's the case. But he definitely talked on the recruiting front. He talked on the transfer portal front. And I think we've mentioned this on the show. We talked about this off the show a lot on Saturday. Losing Bryce Underwood, right? You had that was your headliner, quote unquote, number 1 player in the class. That was probably costing you the most money in your recruiting class. Seems like that money, those funds, are going to be allotted to other people in different places, whether that's in the recruiting class or in the transfer portal class, which I believe a lot of that money that you are not spending on Bryce Underwood is now going to be used in the transfer portal class to see if you can't bolster an already good recruiting class. You obviously have a couple more recruits that you're trying to get out of the high school class, but you got some transfers that are going to be major impactful players. And the rumor is they're not the rumor. Brian Kelly said they're going to be very active, but the rumor is that we're going to see some big transfer guys land here. Obviously, can't have them yet because you're not supposed to be talking to anybody. So they must have reached out to their coaches and stuff. You know, their friend's friend who knows somebody that knows somebody. You know, I mean, those types of things. But before we get into all that, the weekend, what?
No, I'm just laughing. Yeah, like how we get to here. Because nobody can make these decisions yet. But
nobody can. But, you know, there's –
life doesn't work that way.
No, some people must be talking, you know. Maybe they DM somebody and, you know, whatever they did. But no, you're getting some info somewhere. But let's talk about this weekend before we move on to the future of LSU, what we want to see, where we're going to be at. It's been a weird year in college football. Obviously, LSU 7-4 right now. Hopefully can finish the season 8-4 against Oklahoma. We just beat the brakes off of Alabama. Alabama only scored 3 points against them, which is not great. So they come to LSU. LSU opens up as a 6.5-point favorite, I believe, at home. They're trying to finish the season 8-4. 8-4 is by no means what anybody anticipated, what anybody wanted. You know, LSU had an opportunity to win 3 other games. They probably, if you look back, probably should have beaten USC. You look back and you had a great first half, tale of 2 halves against A&M, and you play against Florida, and you look at the box score and you're like, well, LSU obviously won that game, which they did not. And so you lose those games, and then you get boat race against Alabama. 8-4, not what you expected. A lot of teams in the SEC are having seasons that they didn't expect. A&M, you know, right there in the mix to try to be in the top of the SEC. They are now threatening to have 4 losses on their season with the last November 30th game against Texas. Georgia has 2 losses. They haven't had 2 losses in a season like this in a long time. Now they go and potentially play in the SEC championship game, maybe have 3 losses. You have Alabama's got 3 losses. It's been a weird year in college football, right? So LSU out of the playoffs, out of the postseason contention, goes this weekend and plays a home game against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's been very scrappy. Obviously beat Alabama, almost beat Texas. Bowl eligible for the first time in a long time. Diego Pavia has taken college football by storm because of the type of play that he has shown and the big plays he has made. They come into LSU, 70-yard touchdown pass, first play of the game, and everybody's like, oh, boy, here we go. LSU kind of rights the ship, ends up taking control of the game. They only win by 7 points. Felt like it should have been more. It's a game that you should win. It's a game that they probably should have won by more. They didn't. But I think, to me, the most impressive thing about the win isn't how they won it. It's the fact that they did win it with all the noise around. You're supposed to. You expect it, right? This day and age in college football, you look around, you say, okay, you got the portal, we're out of the playoff contention, you got a lot of noise around the football program, you lose your big recruit. It was nice to see those guys right the ship, play motivated. Nussmeier played probably his best game, most complete game of the year as far as efficiency goes, not turning the ball over, making the right reads. There was the best the running game has looked from top to bottom all year. And defense did what they needed to do to win the game. So, to me, that's what I take out of this weekend. Jay, what did you feel about this weekend?
I didn't feel too much, man. I didn't really lock in too much. I'm going to be honest with you. Right now, like I said, I talked about it before, boys are out there playing for their futures, playing for the program's future. This year, in a nutshell, for the most part, in my opinion, is kind of lost. Actually, not my opinion. I do right now think I don't care who were to lose going forward and how they were to lose going forward. You're out. And the reason why I think you're out on this season is because when it mattered the most, when you got into the meat of your schedule, you took 3 L's in a row. Not only did you take 3 L's in a row, you took 3 L's in a row all by 10 or more points. So that's a problem in that situation. Right. You weren't even close in those games realistically when you look at the scoreboard. So that game this weekend in essence, it was a selfish game. It was guys having to do things for themselves to be able to put themselves in better positions, and obviously going along in the same way, you're doing stuff for the program as well. So like it is what it is. That's where they're at now. And now it's how do we, once again, put together another performance that's the same way. That way we can leave this thing in a better place, hopefully, than what we found or what we got here than what it was before the year, and you kind of make a move to go forward. But that's where you're at right now. The game is what it was. They got to win that you expected them to win all along this entire year. Yep. Really, didn't really matter what Vanderbilt's done and or has not done, who they beat and or have not beat, who they played close and or have not played close. You expect them to win in this game, and they got to win in this game, and you move forward.
No doubt. And I don't want to say this is not a program win, right? That's not what I'm saying. But moving forward in the program, it is nice to say, okay, hey, listen, We had a disappointing season. We won this game. We go play Oklahoma. We go 8-4. You kind of keep that recruiting class intact. Those guys end up signing, coming here, enrolling early. Then you go ahead and you focus on the transfer portal, and you go out and dish out that money to whoever else you need to dish it out to, so that you don't have the same conversations in the spring that you had last year and say, hey, well, listen, these are the guys that we were trying to go after, and they were looking for a paycheck, and we didn't have the money to pay them, and so we had to go and figure some out. Brian Kelly doubled down on that in his presser this week, and he said basically we are more equipped. We have a bigger war chest going into this offseason than we did last offseason, based off the guys that we didn't get last year and based off of the guys that we technically, I guess, didn't get in recruiting. Now we have more money to go out and spend in the portal. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do and how they spend it and who they spend it on, because there are some holes. They have some young, talented guys. They have some young, talented guys coming in that are going to enroll early at LSU. But how are you going to fill those gaps, and who are you going to fill them with? It's got to be impact players from day one.
And real quick, I just found a quote. Shout out Tiger Droppings.
Shout them out.
The amount of money that Bryce Sutter was commanding was unreal, Rogers said. This is Jordan Rogers and Rogers.
Oh, this is from the game. Did you not hear this?
Yes, yeah. I was just for the people that were there.
I know.
Yeah.
I was asking.
So if you take that money off the books, whatever. I had that conversation with Brian Kelly at the facility yesterday. He said, listen, we'll lose the kid, and he ends up at Michigan. It is what it is. But all of a sudden we have the financial freedom we have to spend on guys that would get a little bit more to lure more. He said, I promise we're going to take that to another level. So That's clearly where the
Tom Hart doubled down on that too. Said something about him talking to Brian Kelly as well. So you'd imagine that's what they would have to do, right? If you have the money and you've already given the money to some of these kids, you would imagine that you'd have extra money to go out in the portal and try to get guys to come here, right?
Makes you wonder about what Michigan's going to do.
What do you mean?
I guess they have more money to after the $12 million. They still got more.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or they're putting all their eggs in that basket, and they're hoping that, okay, we're just going to stink, but we're going to stink with a really talented quarterback.
Got what y'all wanted.
You got them. We're going to stink with a really talented quarterback.
You got the PlayStation 5, but no games.
Yeah. Scratch game. Well, you can't scratch anymore. You can't put it in there. You got a virus in your computer.
Yeah.
It skips and lags. Not good. Not good internet.
Red ring of death.
Not good internet. Not good internet. You got the number one quarterback in the world. You got all this talent, but you got really bad
I can't
internet.
play online.
You can't play online. You got real laggy. It gets real laggy when you're out there.
Dynasty's fire.
Yeah,
offline,
you try to do it 2 seconds later. Now the ball comes out. It's too late at that point. It's going to be an interesting offseason. It's going to be interesting, obviously, next week and a half to see who they get. You have a lot of guys coming back. Obviously, Zach Weeks, the brother of the Weeks brothers, the youngest brother of the Weeks brothers, enrolled early at LSU.
Pop one more out.
Yeah, he is a 4-star linebacker. He is enrolling. He's a 2026. He's now going to enroll as a 2025 enrollee and come to school early. So, that's another addition to the portal.
Not
Jared,
the portal.
I mean,
recruiting.
The recruiting. Jared.
The recruiting. Yeah.
moving forward, right? Obviously, LSU moving forward. What do you want to see from them? If there's anything that you want to see that shows like, okay, they've kind of learned their lesson from the last couple years, and they've obviously had a concerted effort to make the adjustments needed.
You mean on the field, or like what are you talking about?
No,
that's
like
a very wide open question.
So I guess like in the off the field, right? Like on the field, obviously there's things that they need to do. Obviously you got to get the guys on there, but how do you get the guys?
I think watching the season and let's say this: the portal is what it is. You're watching the wins and losses. Like this season has been crazy, right? There's been a lot of losses. Alabama's got 3. Georgia's got a potential to have a 3rd this year. Not saying that I think they will, just have the potential before you even get to a playoff situation. I think seeing that and understanding that you just lost the number 1 recruit in the country, the way you just lost them, I think they're starting to understand that this is more of a put up or shut up type of situation. Like the arms race used to be the facilities. Everybody used to be able to woo you with the facilities. And that arms race has caught its way around the country to where every high school kid that's stepping into a college situation, they're stepping into a situation it really doesn't matter who they're getting recruited by when it comes to like big D1 schools at this point. They all, for the most part, look the same. in the sense that they're all super nice facilities. That used to be the arms race. It used to be, let's get you on campus and show you this football ops and show you the stadium and show you the ops building and show you all of this stuff that makes you go, wow, I've never seen it like this. And the last 3 places were not like this. Well, now they're all like that. So those kids they're no longer wooed by that stuff anymore. And now it's understanding that the arms race is, whether you like it or whether you don't like it, is that you either paying these kids and showing them that they have a chance to play, or there's a high chance they're not coming. Yeah. And it's just that simple these days. So I think understanding that mindset, that shift and how it kind of goes. And also at the same time, you don't want to kind of get pimped out to where you're the one giving money and you're not getting guys and you run into a situation like Florida State ran into this year. To be able to sustain a program, you're still going to need the figurehead, because the figurehead's hopefully the way you put this thing together is that guy's hopefully going to be there longer than any player is. It just is what it is. This isn't pro sports, right? You want that head coach to be there longer than your best players. That's just how it has to be. So with that being the case, you need the figurehead, but you also have to understand that these players are not going to come unless they're getting paid. And it's really just that simple.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And hopefully the money that he says that they have now is going to help them get here, right? I mean, if he's coming out and they're saying that they got all this stuff and they're going to go after the portal, because the portal guys outside of the Underwoods and those, one-offs, the portal guys are the most expensive recruits.
That's
more so
paid
than
for play. You're paying for players.
No doubt, right? Like, this free agency. When you're in the portal, it's free agency. So those are the more expensive. That's the more expensive money. That's the more expensive players, more so than high school. Obviously, high school guys are getting paid too. But take Bryce Underwood out, that situation out of it. The portal guys are worth more, and they're commanding more. You're gonna say something like that?
No, or don't.
Oh, what? Or don't what?
What?
Or don't pay him?
Yeah, or I mean, give him whatever he wants. Recruit.
From Underwood?
Yeah,
they tried.
I
can't speak on that, but they tried.
Dotted line's not until December 4th.
They tried.
But I do.
He said no.
Especially after what has happened, what you did last year and what you saw from LSU in the transfer portal, where they weren't willing to pay for play, right? Like you had defensive linemen that you were in the portal for, but LSU had a number that they weren't willing to cross. I feel like now, with whether it be in recruiting, as you've seen multiple people shut down their recruiting this weekend. There were people that were supposed to take visits to Texas that as soon as it was announced, it was, you ain't taking no visit to Texas. And I'm committed to LSU. And so you've seen that money get allocated different ways to be able to shore up the recruiting class around LSU. And this is the conversation that we had after the Underwood news happened. It was make sure you – Ed, 1 second.
Okay.
What were your thoughts on booing Garrett Nussmeier after you're intentionally wooing him to come back? What do you think your future is without him next year?
Hated it. Thought that was has no feel.
No feel.
No feel. No feel.
Now the booing of Brian Kelly.
That shows you the unrealistic, crazy-ass expectations that is LSU. And that's just part of it. And you love the fans for it. But, yeah, you hate to see the simple fact that you're on the verge of winning A+ games as your first year as a starter in this conference, and you're getting booed out of the stadium or booed as you're on the field is kind of crazy.
And you're the third. You have the third highest passing yardage season in the history of LSU. You passed Rohan.
Right. And I'm not sitting here saying that people didn't want and or expect more as you should, but to be booing someone in that situation is kind of crazy.
No doubt. And you know what? He responded well. I mean, that was the most efficient game and the best he's looked probably all year, as far as like decisiveness and throwing it and checking down and doing whatever you need. Now, obviously, I don't want to talk shit on Vandy. Like, you're supposed to beat Vandy, and they've been playing very well. Look, they held Milroe to 13 yards rushing. They almost beat Texas. Like, they've been very scrappy throughout the course of the year. So it's not like it's you're playing a team that you should beat by 40. But look, he went out there and he did what he needed to do, and he made some throws, and I think it was good.
You have to go back to the beginning of the game. Like, look at the way that it started. You fumble the opening kickoff. Jawan Johnson catches the second kickoff. It was basically, he could have fair caught it, how high it went in the air. So Xavier Thomas fumbles the opening kickoff. You go 3 and out. Yep. You punt, obviously. And then the first play of the game, Vanderbilt scores a touchdown. So that's when the whole, it starts raining down chants of fire Brian, fire Kelly. Didn't hate that one. But Then LSU gets the ball back on another kickoff. They squib it because you had a penalty, and you have to start your own 10-yard line because you're not prepared for the squib, which I don't think you should have been. But that's where you are. Then Garrett Nussmeier, the guy that you were booing, rallies the troops.
All the way down.
Josh Williams rallies the troops. Legacy 18 game for him. And you score a 90-yard touchdown drive, and now you're kind of back in, okay, now we can all settle back down a little bit because it felt like the Roman Coliseum in there for a second.
Right.
There was blood.
Right. Let's play football. Let's settle down. Now it's 0-0. Let's get back to it. And they did, right? Then they kind of took control of the game, did what they needed to do. They were up by 2 scores. They should have been up by 3 scores, but they weren't. And then
you go for it on 4th and 4.
And then Gilbert whiffs the interception. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know.
He was in the right position.
He was in the right position. He just didn't make the play on the ball. And all of a sudden, the receiver was like, "Oh my God, I caught it. Let me just keep running for 40 yards." Yeah.
Yeah.
But no. To Nuss's credit, he obviously did what he needed to do. He looked good doing it. I'm interested to see what happens next weekend or this coming weekend because it's going to be a big challenge for him. It's going to be one of the better defenses he's faced all year, to be honest with you. I mean, they held Alabama to 3 points. They're coming there to try to keep their momentum
Everybody
going.
but LSU seems to have figured out old Milroe.
Yeah, everybody. Hey, let's make him throw the football and stay in the pocket. We couldn't do that. Now, here's the other part of it. You got to play Oklahoma and their quarterback, Arnold, who decided to run for 25 times. Hadn't done it all year. Ran for 25 rushing attempts for over 100 yards. Threw for 80-something yards. No, 60-something yards.
Couldn't happen at a better time for LSU.
So we'll see what happens next weekend with the another running quarterback and see how we're able to handle that. What else?
I have a couple of thoughts.
Give me some thoughts.
Have you noticed any difference in the LSU game plan the last 2 weeks? You've said that you thought it was the best game that Nussmeier has played in a while, which I think is obvious, but it feels like the game plan has changed considerably. Like they're obviously there's more balance instilled.
Yep.
I'm wondering how much of this is Brian Kelly.
Right, and that's the other conversation.
And how much it is of just him being in the room and him having a voice, because he only threw it 37 times. There were games where he would throw it 50 times, and now you have, even the throws are not so much go take the big shot, it's a lot of check down underneath. I would imagine at some point that this will also be adjusted to if you're Oklahoma.
Right, and I think, Jay, you want to talk on that?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you heard Brian Kelly talk before the game. He really felt like they were missing over the last few weeks, missing the big plays, missing the opportunities to push the ball down the field. I think what he really did, what that really meant for them is that, hey, look, if all you're doing is like looking, and you're never giving people the opportunity to creep up, you're never threatening him with anything underneath, you don't really have those real opportunities to look and actually hit big plays. So I think there was an emphasis on, hey, we need to start making people creep up. We need to start hitting some underneath stuff. We need to force this run game and get it more even. That way, when we do draw up the play that has the shot in it, the shot's there, and you can actually take it. You're not holding the ball forever, and now we don't have it, and now we got to run around or do whatever. So I do think that was I do think over the last couple of weeks there's been a more of a concentrated effort to be able to methodically move the ball. That way, when you take the shots are actually there.
Right, and that when you talk balance, right, in the offense, that's what that is. That's why you want balance, because you want to be able to. The balance in the offense allows you to open up the offense to be able to take those shots, and it's also the closer in the football game, right? Brian Kelly mentioned this is the first time all year they had the ball and they had the ball and knelt the ball to end the game. They were able to do that because they were able to run the ball, gain first downs, milk the clock, do the things they needed to do. But they rushed for 150 yards as a team, and when you do that, you're able to. Bring, like you said, Jerry, bring the defense in, not keep them with too high safeties and not keep them back and not force you to kind of dink and dunk. You force them to bring somebody else in the box, and it opens up the passing game. And I think that's why you're seeing a little bit of the offensive changes, Lloyd. And I think I think Brian Kelly probably has some input in that. And I think Brian Kelly has said, like, listen, we got to do this, and we've got to commit to this instead of doing it for a little bit and then backing off, because you haven't seen that as much. They backed off a little bit in the second half of that, but I think for the most part, this was probably their most complete game offensively this year. So that was.
Lloyd, how do you feel about that? Since you're clamoring for him to not be like a part of doing that, and you're kind of pissed that he kind of finally grabbed a play call sheet.
He didn't have a
How do
sheet.
you feel about
He didn't
him
have a
getting
sheet.
into
He
it
didn't have a
and
sheet
this is the thing?
Saturday. He didn't have a sheet on Saturday. So
I
apparently,
never said he had a sheet on Saturday, but obviously he's been inserting himself into that room and into those game plans a little bit more than what he did in the past.
yeah, I'm proud of him.
How do you feel about that?
I'm proud of him for getting into work on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday and Friday. It's good,
here we go.
good effort on his part to where you don't need a sheet. You know what's on the call sheet. But I do.
So let me ask you this. So let me ask you this: with a guy that's making the amount of money that he's making, when his name is literally right in the middle of the actual hot boiler, you think he's just like, nah, dog, I don't really care. Y'all do it. I'll let me know what y'all got. I'll show up on Saturday. Is that where like you think his mind is? I just want to know. I want to hear you say it.
I think that's where it was. I think he finally got called to task.
I don't know about all that, Lloyd. I think the operation is a little bit different when you're actually making that money. You make it to that spot. I don't think it works that way.
Hey, it's not just me saying it. Go ask Charles Turner. He's the one that. But there's a full-on article about it.
Let's talk about the article. You want to talk about the article?
Let's talk about the article.
Let's talk about the article.
Sent it early this morning.
I read it. Listen.
Oh God, yeah. Mikie asked for an on-3 account and everything. He's like, office is a little slow. I'm gonna look at some of the stuff. I was like, so you're gonna work for your other job? Like you and Brian Kelly, you're checked in. I love it.
I've always been checked in, but here's the deal. So I wanted to go. So he sends this article and I'm reading it, right? And like, I don't think anything in that article is said that we haven't thought about or talked about or heard. Right now, these articles, when you go and get these quotes, anonymous quotes from these random people, like. Did he get a quote from a guy who is disgruntled and got fired and like wasn't there? Like, hey, it was around Brian Kelly. Listen, Brian Kelly is who he is. There is some faults to him, right? But then you got some other side of it. Like, let's go to a staffer that maybe did like Brian Kelly. So you're gonna get mixed reviews on it. And to me, like those articles mean much other than the fact that hey, you went and talked to someone that didn't like him and you talked to somebody who did like him, right? And you talk to a guy who says, oh, he's gonna have to understand the culture of Louisiana. I think he's done that, right? And I think we've talked about this on the show. The article talked about how his two biggest mistakes were when he came in. The article talked about when he came in, he had to make these wide sweeping changes, which he felt like he needed to do. Maybe he overshot that. And I think he realized that and brought that back in after the Polian experiment did not work and the recruiting class did not work. Even though he brought in a top 10 recruiting class, it wasn't the right type of athletes to come here, right? And then so you bring in Frank Wilson, everything that we already know. So the article was just kind of reiterating those types of things. But what it did say is it feels like he is kind of leaning toward, he's understanding the culture here a little bit more than he has in the past. But I know you didn't get that from it because you hate Brian Kelly.
That's not true. I don't hate
What did you get from it, Lloyd? Yeah, what you got from it?
I just thought it was a lot. Well, first of all, there's two sides to this coin, right?
Did it give you any information that you didn't already know or think about?
No, I thought it gave y'all some information y'all didn't want to believe that has absolutely been the case.
Oh, good God.
But the other part of it, because I don't hate Brian Kelly, I just want him to take advantage of the opportunity that he has earned. Don't.
Oh, good phrase.
Don't play with. Yeah, you've been served a delicious meal. I don't want to see you play.
And
with
I think
your
he's
food.
doing that.
We'll
right
see.
Right now.
Yeah, but it
took him 2 years.
Right. That's
The first year's a wash. The big mistake was the second year. He should have brought back the recruiting, but he didn't know because they weren't able to get a full recruiting class into year one.
Didn't know, or
he should have known.
Didn't care.
No.
About like I'm gonna do it my way.
He's gonna do it his way. He made success doing it a certain way, and so he thought maybe that was gonna work here. Luckily he didn't do that for 3 years. He did it for 1 year, and it didn't work, and then he made the changes.
Yes, but I do think if I could be pro Brian Kelly because I am pro LSU, I did not boo the man. I did not boo Garrett Nussmeier. I think that's Bush League because at the end of the day, it's for the 3 letters that you go to represent, and that's why I went to school
Daniels,
there.
Baby.
Yeah, exactly. I played for the name on the side of the helmet.
Yep.
But in that same vein, what I'm talking about is this article was written in conjunction with Bruce Feldman, who's very much he wrote Coach O's book. Like all of these things, this could have been a little bit of a little bit of a slanted piece in that end.
Right.
So I'm wondering who was on staff at that point that could be giving this information that isn't all that shocking in my mind. Like this is what kind of has been known about Brian Kelly and that he does it this way. And to his credit, while it took 3 straight losses and a lot of shit. So like the pot got pretty hot and your feet started to get a little like this water's starting to boil. I don't enjoy this jacuzzi as much as I used to. And now you've seen the changes that LSU has made offensively, where it's something that could have happened
And
maybe a little bit earlier.
I understand your point, Lloyd. I do. I understand your frustration. But if you're the head coach and you're the CEO and you're not allowing your guys or your employees to do their job and get out of the issues that they're, even if they've done something hasn't been as good as they want them to, if you always step in the first sign of trouble and you don't allow them to try to figure it out with maybe some guidance, then you're not a great leader because now you're micromanaging everybody and you're not going to get anybody to want to go work for you.
5 weeks is a long time for the first sign of trouble.
But it wasn't 5 weeks. It was 3 weeks. It was 2 weeks. Really? He stepped in.
It was 3 weeks. It was 3 weeks. Yeah, well, 2 weeks. You're right because he did step in before that last game. So
right.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks.
So
everything you got to remember, Lloyd. You got to remember everything's all fine and dandy when you're winning games and everything is still in front of you. So yeah, you got the USC loss. Don't care. When you're winning games and you still got everything in front of you, and you rip off 6 straight, you got a week off, you're like, oh, we ready to go, and you just beat an Ole Miss team, oh, we good to go. And then you lose one, you're like, all right, that wasn't it. Then you lose another one, well, we no longer have that stuff in front. I'm sitting in now because we're not about to go 5 losses. Like, I'm not surprised at all that that's when he, quote unquote, stepped in and said, I need to be a part of this and I need to do a little more of this. You got to respect that.
Yeah, and I'm not defending the mistakes he made. But I am defending the fact that you can't be that CEO type guy who's every time there's something that goes a little wrong, you step in and you put your 2 cents in it because now you're not going to have the focus and you're not going to have the trust of the guys that you hired to do their job. That's all I'm saying, Lloyd. You're not wrong, but I just think that you've got to give some guys, and he realized, okay, maybe I need a little bit more influence on this play calling instead of just giving him some advice as he game plans.
With that,
you're gonna have something else to prove your point?
No.
Okay.
I'm wondering. I'm asking.
Yeah, like where are you going with this?
I thought he was looking something up.
Well, there's some news on the waiver wire.
What is that?
East Carolina. Obviously, Joe Sloan is very much rumored to be in contention for that job. They have hired their interim coach, Blake Harrell, to take over and have named him the head coach, and he will be the head coach for the future.
Okay.
Do you see a world in which this is the new approach for LSU, where Sloan stays, Brian Kelly maybe still has a little bit of influence in the room, and now everything is the status quo going forward? Or is Sloan toast?
No, look, I don't know. I don't want to say he's toast. This may be the status quo right now. Listen, I'm not comparing. And when I say this example, this isn't for me to compare coaches. It's an example. Whenever Nick Saban had his teams, right? Who do you think ran the defense and who do you think ran the secondary meetings? You think he let his defensive coordinators?
That's not what he does. It's not his expertise.
Who?
Brian Kelly.
I know that, but his expertise is the offense. I'm just giving an example.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So Nick Saban at Alabama, right? And I know this for a fact. He would control the defensive meetings. He would be in, have a lot of input. It wasn't always, it was he had his influence on the defense. Now, you go to the secondary, he ran the secondary meetings. He's had secondary coaches have to leave that he hired because they didn't have an opportunity to run their defense, right? Or run their own meetings or do those types of things. I'm not saying he was wrong. He's the greatest coach of all time, and he had a lot of success, and that's what he did, right? Now, Brian Kelly, to answer your question, right? He is an offensive guy. He has called plays, so I would not be shocked if maybe that is the norm and say, hey, listen, you're a great developer of quarterbacks. Let me help you call plays and be really involved in this play calling and almost like groom you and mold you into a better play caller. I could see that. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I could see that.
Let me ask you this question. You ever thought the possibility of, and I don't know that this is a thing, I'm just asking because, possibly something like this can happen, but like when you name Joe Sloan as the offensive coordinator and then you go from that day up until, let's say, game one, maybe day one install of USC game. Let's say you go that far. What if during that time he took that time to say, I'm going to give him every crack and every bit of knowledge and every bit of extra I can give him. And when I get to this, I got to pull the reins off and say, here it is, Joe, it's yours, until I need to insert myself again. Is that possible? Could he possibly have done that?
Absolutely. It could be possible, but I will always go back to the way that he answered the question of, yeah, maybe I could help. It didn't seem as if he had been very much involved in helping. And I would imagine you have.
Okay, so but my point is if, let's just say, because you just can't sit here and think that, oh my God, in my year 3 that I've been yelling for forever, I got a first-time offensive coordinator at this level, and I'm just not going to do shit this year. There's no way in hell that you could possibly think, even if that did happen, I would rather be shocked and say, wow, that's awful, than to go ahead and let that be the thought that I'm prevailing as the one that I think actually happened to start without knowing anything behind the scenes. There's no way in hell that that's what I'm going to sit here and think.
I'm just going off the quotes from the players that are in the building.
No, you're going off the press conference, and I understand that.
No, I'm saying from Charles Turner. He's definitely a good coach.
Didn't talk to him.
If you really don't know the players, if you don't know how to come at them, you don't know how to talk to them, don't know how to build relationships with them, if you're not involved with them, it's not going to work. And that's some of the things that I feel like Ed Orgeron was excellent at. And I'm not advocating for Ed Orgeron to have kept the job. I think Brian Kelly was the right hire at the right time, but I think there's a little bit of cultural things that he needed to change that he didn't, and I don't know if he is still going to continue to be that way, whether it be in recruiting or whether it be in the way that he coaches, a very much hands-off, and I'll see y'all when I see y'all.
Right.
The CEO approach that he did at Notre Dame, he never won a national championship there. And this is what this is what it's said about him. It's
and look,
I'll check in with you, but I'm not here at all hours with an open door policy.
And there is something to be said about both sides of it. I think there's a happy medium of both, right? Everybody's got their style. You can change your style and adapt it, but you're not gonna change who you are at the core of being a coach. If you're a good coach and you understand how to win games the way you've been winning games, maybe you adapt some things as you go. All right, hey, I'm down here. I have never coached down here in the South, especially in the SEC. All right, I got to be a little bit more involved. I've got to be a little bit more personal with my players. Or you say, okay, I do that. Maybe I'm not as close as I need to be with them, so I'm going to be available more, but I'm also going to hire the guys around for them to be as close as they can be with them and then relay my messages, which is what happens in a lot of other huge organizations and, teams.
Yeah, I mean, you said we never really talked Texas. We never talked Texas enough.
I don't really subscribe to it, dude. I've seen different situations. I've seen the thing is it really doesn't matter what player that it is on the actual roster. You can go up and down the roster and somebody's going to tell you, yeah, we got a great relationship. And somebody that maybe plays just as much is going to be like, yeah, we're not that tight. So I don't really think that that's the thing that makes it seem like, oh, he doesn't know what's going on. He ain't around the players. He ain't talking to me. We're talking about one person or one situation that's a one-off, and you may be able to pull up another two. Okay, and what's your point? You're not going to get everybody on the thing to say that, and it'd be hard for you to make me believe that because I've played on enough teams, I've been around enough, I promise you, it doesn't really work that way from top down on teams that it just doesn't.
Yeah.
And now.
Yes.
I mean, we're listening to people not this year, that hasn't come out this year, but we're listening to guys who left Deion's program last year say that he don't talk to anyone. But yet everyone there is like, oh, he's all you can hear is them say is he's the most involved and the best and hands-on guy. That's the picture that's painted this year. So I don't think it's really fair to sit here and say that that's been something that's going on because you don't talk to enough guys, and the situation is that he's not going to be everyone's best friend, just like you're not going to be everyone's best friend as a player in the locker room. You got a group that you're tight to, but you're probably not everyone's best friend. Here's how it goes, dude.
Yes, true.
Wait, what have you seen that said he's like real checked in this year outside of the last week?
That who's been real checked in?
PK.
What have you seen that makes you know he's not checked in? That's a better question. He's the damn head coach of the football team. I know he's checked in. I don't even need to ask if he's checked in. He's there. He's checked in. that's not even a question for me at this point. You gotta start giving me proof that he's not checked in more than the one player saying that we don't have basically kind of saying that we don't have a great relationship before we start to try to take that tea leaves as if he's checked out. You can't. That's a completely unfair to do when you don't have eyes inside of that building and you're not there every day.
I'm not the only one that has been.
No, we're not attacking you. For
No,
sure,
no,
but
I'm
he's
just
saying in general, like that take in general. I understand what he's saying. Listen, you
The
can say
take, it's not. Yeah, I'm not attacking you. I'm attacking the take. The take is ridiculous. I think that's like crazy to me.
and a lot of that came about because whenever they made all these hires, he was not in town, right? He wasn't checked in. He was in Florida. I understand all of that kind of stuff. I promise you that he is checked in. Whether he's checked in the way that everybody expects him to be checked in, as far as their styles or what they think his style of coaching should be, that's a different question. But I do believe he has a pulse of the team. I do believe he understands where the team's at and what they're trying to do. And look, I do believe he's learned some things over the last couple years, right? I think you saw that with the hires, right? He was open to obviously bringing back these guys and putting a recruiting class together that he knows should be the guys here. And so let's see what happens. Has he learned his lesson in the portal, right? We're going to find out. He has all these plans, and he said everything we want to hear. Is he going to be able to execute what he says? That's the next step, right? Because the SEC is not going to get any easier.
I will say that was one of the most open press conferences that you've heard from Brian Kelly, where he kind of give you a peek behind the curtain as to what they want to do going forward. And I know that you have Oklahoma, and that's the next game on the schedule, and that's something that you want to focus on. But I actually agree with this pursuit of we need to start looking into what we're going to do in the portal, what we're going to do in recruiting. December 4th is only getting closer. And to get the news that, okay, I don't know if C.J. Daniels comes back if Bryce Underwood gets signed. Like, I don't know how they're allocating that money.
Right.
But to see that they have a plan in place, and that's where I think Austin Thomas deserves a ton of credit for having the way, like, there's plan A and there's plan B, and obviously they were operating under plan Bryce for a long time. And then it became, okay, he's not coming here.
Yeah, and I think that we talked about, obviously, bringing Nussmeier back is a huge priority. I think Nuss could have the Tom Brady effect, not be Tom Brady talent-wise, but the Tom Brady effect in the sense of I want to come back because I want to win. You don't have – I mean, he's been very vocal about not needing the NIL, right? He doesn't need – his family doesn't need the money. He doesn't need the money. He loves it here. He wants to be here. He wants to develop. And maybe he says, listen, I don't need you to pay me to come back. Maybe give me whatever you were giving me for another year, but let's use that money and go allot that to some other talented guys and bring them and make our team better. That would be a great thing to see.
There is, and don't be shocked. There's somebody in the portal, or I wouldn't even say in the portal. There's somebody that didn't play football this year that could help you at a position of need, that played in the SEC, sat out this entire year, is from Louisiana, and could possibly be open to coming back to LSU.
Oh, that's a big position of need.
Big position of need.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's some places that they have an idea.
That's Jordan.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
That I think that they have a good pulse on who
Do
they.
you not want to say his name, or
No, I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know what their plans are. I'm not putting it out in the ether. Yeah.
His first name.
I don't know if it's true or not, but that would be somebody I would pursue as somebody that sat out, and he obviously wanted to transfer for an SEC team, couldn't do it, so he sat out a year. Position of need, somebody that you could communicate with, I would imagine, because he's not openly with the team. And now you have money to be able to, if you need to allocate those funds appropriately.
Right.
But to have that, and now it opens up the conversation for if you get C.J. Daniels back, which it sounds like they very much are. They've already had the conversation.
You get Harold Perkins back potentially?
That would be the next one I was going to mention is now that money that you had spent on Underwood, and it felt like Harold Perkins was maybe halfway in, halfway out, and Kelly talked about it. We don't know where we are with Harold Perkins. Like, we're going to continue the conversation. But if you can kind of he's not going to be a top 5 pick. So if you can offer him money that is comparable to what he would get in the draft, I would see that you could use this as a leverage point to you can make a lot more money if you come back and still get money while you're here.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
Harold's one it would make a lot of sense for. you just always you run the risk of you forget the human side of it is a thing as well, in the sense of a guy who's had a knee injury who may be sitting here thinking like, hey, like I would rather not chance doing that again another year without ever getting to this opportunity. So I'm not saying that he's going to go or that it's even the better idea for him to go. I'm not him. I don't know his personal situation. I don't know his financial situation. I don't know his family situation. You just never know what guys in those situations may actually do.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely a toss-up. But now I feel like you have more chips on your side. You've made it a little bit easier for the conversation to actually have a little bit bear some fruit, in my mind. But he also could be like, I'm going to college for 3 years and that's that. Some people think that way.
Right. No doubt.
Yeah.
Regardless of this conversation, I think that they're trending in the right direction. It's a big weekend this weekend. Obviously, we're not going to be able to talk about all week. Oklahoma's defense is what they are. I would like to see LSU's offense continue to progress and just get into the offseason, please, with a win and just keep moving forward. But what I do want to talk about is the SEC and their prospects of the college football playoff and kind of how wacky this weekend was. Before we get into this, I want to.
Do you know who Jay signed or got committed?
No. Do you?
No.
Yeah, I do not know. I'm gonna give this stat that I just came across my computer. The 8 SEC teams in the AP Top 25 are just 14 and 15 in true SEC road games this year. Texas and South Carolina are the only teams in that group with a winning road record. Texas 2-0 on the road. South Carolina is 3-1 on the road. Georgia's 2-2. Ole Miss 2-2. A&M 2-2. Tennessee 1-2. Bama 1-3. Missouri 1-3. Pretty wild to think about that, and kind of shows you how difficult it is compared to a lot of the other conferences to go out on the road and come out with a victory. Thought that was pretty interesting.
So let me get that right. Those are options that say in true SEC road games. So that means all those teams playing in true SEC, like against SEC opponents in those situations.
Yeah, at the opposing team's home stadium, like not neutral sites.
I mean, at LSU is probably one of the better test cases for that.
Yeah, but they're not in the top 25.
I know, but I'm just saying in terms of I've never seen home and away factor as much as it has this year than maybe than maybe any other year. That's what I'm saying for LSU. That's why you're so impressed with the Arkansas win, because you're going into an Arkansas game or Arkansas's off a bye. You don't really – you're coming off a huge win. Like everything was – that's one of the outliers of the SEC season and probably the college football season, where you could have pointed to that game and be like, LSU should probably lose that game even though you feel like you're the better team. But LSU's staggeringly different when they play home and away. And you can see it because, in my mind, it made sense because it's DJ Chester. It's a first-year coordinator, first-year quarterback, first-year center. All of that makes sense, but it's going all around the league.
Yeah. That was the whole point of the stat. It's a wild stat.
Yeah, that's a wild one. But it also shows you that that's what this conference is, and it's tougher, and it kind of goes to that portal conversation we've had recently before, where you just realize that a lot of these teams are finding it much, much harder to be 2 and 3 deep at every position. So when the war of attrition starts to go and you got to go on the road in places that, the SEC fills, it's tough to win here. Like it just is. And that's what you're kind of seeing at this point.
Yeah. And the SEC is not the only conference that has now entered tiebreaker scenarios, as we've gone through the SEC when LSU had the pipe dream, which everything worked out. Everything was right there in front of you. Jesus Christ.
It did. It happened the exact way they needed. All you got to do is win.
And I don't even know if you need Arkansas to beat Missouri. I think everybody lost enough in front of you.
No doubt.
That's insane. But now the Big 12 has this scenario. Per Ross Dillinger, they are officially in tiebreaker mode. Entering Week 14, 9 teams are still in contention for the Dr. Pepper. Dang! Shout out Dr. Pepper, still doing it. I didn't know that.
I love Dr. Pepper.
Well, sure. My favorite doctor. They need to institute. You have to throw it overhand into the can.
No doubt.
Like that's the
and
one.
no push pass.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to go overhand into the can. That's why I'm out on Dr. Pepper. Until then, I will not have one. But for the Dr. Pepper Big 12 Championship, the following details, tiebreaker scenarios for ties amongst teams with 7-2 Big 12 records. 2-team tie scenarios. 2 teams tied at 7-2 will be the championship game. That's not where they are. 3-team Colorado loss. Like, you could read all of this if you like. I'm not going to. But it just turns out that you are in an absolute pickle, Dick, because nobody really prepared for the parity that is college football right now, and it's starting to bear fruit in terms of whether it was the SEC or the Big 12 or the Big 10. This was something that was good, that was along the pipeline. It's just all happening in year one.
Yeah, it's been a wild college football playoff, and it's going to continue to get wild.
9 teams in contention for the title game.
Yeah, Kansas really screwed up. Has been screwing up a lot of people's years. Same with Florida right now.
I need to see Kansas and Florida
what is
play.
it? 3 teams in a row? Is it 3 teams in a row they got to?
3 teams in a row, and they've crushed our parlay every single time.
I told y'all they got hot.
I mean, we got crushed again in our parlay. Wasn't even close.
We should have taken the over in the Colorado game.
I did take the over. No, we did take the over. No, I took 2.5.
2.5. That's what I wanted to veto.
Yeah. You wanted to veto that one?
And I wanted to take Vandy.
It wouldn't have mattered. We all 3 lost.
We all lost.
Yeah.
Over.
We went over. I'm sorry for if y'all followed us. We're battling. You know, we're gonna go back this week and hopefully win it. It's gonna be another wild weekend too.
I mean, LSU minus 6.5.
If you'd have taken Vandy, you would have won.
I know.
It was minus 7.5. The hook you would have won because of the hook.
That was a wild ending to that game.
LSU's?
Yes.
Yeah, they knelt it.
You could have lost that football game.
I know, and you really, you could have lost, and you look at the score, and you're like, damn, I really felt like you should have won it by more.
Yeah, that last.
You could have lost.
But it got to a point where you got a little like, oh shit, everybody stood up, and then it was, hold on, let's sit back down because LSU might. I don't know what's going to happen here, but if they'd have started that game the way that it did and ended it, and LSU with the loss, it would have been an all-timer.
That would have been a disaster.
It would have been Troy.
That'd have been a disaster. But I think the most shocking one of the weekend was Alabama getting their doors blown off.
It wasn't even,
Yeah,
it was never
close. That's
never
that's
close.
easily the most shocking one of the week, right?
It has to be. I mean, 24-3. You give up. You give up a pick 6, right? But 17-3. Also, I wanted to tell you, how bad was that that penalty that they called on Alabama?
I'm kind of surprised that got played the way it did. That wasn't it. Yeah, that was bad.
I mean, they said that Ryan Williams was covered up, and the guy was clearly off the line of scrimmage, and Ryan Williams makes this outrageous play in the end zone for a touchdown. That would have made it 24-10. Could have changed the game because I think that was the third quarter. Yep. So that would have changed the entire game. Instead, the referee said he was covered up by the wide receiver on the outside who was on the line of scrimmage, which was false. So you had 2 guys in the backfield, 1 on the line of scrimmage. They said there was 2 on the line of scrimmage. Not the case. And instantly, the booth was like, oh, that's a bad call. That's it. That's it. Off the line.
I don't know how we haven't gotten to the spot where like stuff like that can't be reversed.
No doubt. That should be reviewed.
That's just crazy to me. We have video. We can see it. Like, I just get the call right. That's all people really want to get. They don't really care if it's, well, we don't have it in the rules situation that you can't review. If you can get it right, just get the call right. Like, it was really that simple.
Yeah, I mean, it's just look, they may still have lost because that would have made it 24-10 or 7. Was that
right?
I think it was 24-10.
But you never know what can get the ball rolling in certain games, and stuff like that can. And when you get that erased and taken off the board, it kind of it kills all that momentum. It just inflates the tires, and you no longer can go the way you were about to go or possibly about to go.
Yeah, it was a wild weekend of football. Ole Miss had an opportunity. Ole Miss just can't do it, huh? God. They just really can't just get over that.
I thought for sure like this, Ole Miss is going to go in there and make a statement. They ain't come close to that shit. They didn't even do it. They didn't get it done.
I mean, and then they got the interception. That was interception. Jackson Dart, in his head, game was over because the interception, not interception, came back, didn't lock it back in. Next play, interception, game really over.
The throw he made into the end zone for the one that was
were you with me when I was watching?
The one that was triple covered?
Yeah, what are we doing?
And it wasn't
No clue
even
what that was.
It wasn't even like he got tricked. It wasn't like, oh, the guy is over there. I just don't see the guy on the left or right, and all of a sudden he was triple covered from the beginning. He was never open, ever. He didn't even have the first guy beat. The first guy was on top of him.
I'm buying into the thought that he, for some reason, the defenders were like covered up in the sense of like they was behind maybe one of the linemen or some shit, or running in the same color of the background. Like that made zero sense. It's tough to see when they happen that way, and I don't understand what he possibly could have thought was going on, other than I straight up didn't see him. And why didn't you see him? Because they were running step for step with the guy.
Riddle me this. Y'all have played high-level football and high-level baseball.
He played higher level.
Yeah, of course. But you've been in the spot, and you've been in spots where you're like, oh, man, I might be going through it right now. Is there a world where Lane Kiffin looks at him and goes, buddy, maybe not right now. Like, I'm taking you out. Or at least run the football.
Jackson Dart?
Yeah.
No, you can't take Jackson Dart.
But, I mean, you have to see the fact that he is mentally melting down he's crying on the football field.
You can't take him out the game.
Well, you can't. Well, then why call a pass play? Because he threw it 3 straight interceptions.
Because you have to.
There was no chance.
What do you think they were going to run a touchdown there?
No, but if you're not going to take him out the game, like, you can't put more pressure on the kid. He's melting down.
It's not more pressure. It's put up or shut up. It's you got to do it or we ain't that good. There's not really a choice in that situation.
Put somebody else in just for a little bit. Give him a beat.
Once again, there's not a choice in that situation. You do get to spots where it's, hey, bro, these are my guys. I'm riding or dying with them, and if they can't get done, then we die.
Yeah, so that's
what we got.
You're gonna bench him and put a true freshman quarterback in there.
I mean,
no.
You could have put me in there, and I'd have felt a little bit more confident. No. He had zero chance.
Lloyd, what you're basically saying right there is like if somebody like let's just say, I don't know, I'm gonna say Kentucky. I'm gonna throw a wild name out there, right? If their coach and their team had legit championship aspirations this year, but they just knew, hey, we just don't have the pieces yet. You know what? If we take that same mindset, what you just said, we could just punt on the year. There's no reason to play, guys. We're not actually going to win this year. So why put you out there in a situation where we're not going to do it? Like, that's basically what you're saying. Like, no, at that point, this is our guy. This is how we roll. And because of the situations that surround the situation, this is what we got. So it's either going to get done or you're not going to get done. You're either going to be the guy that everybody praises or the guy that they say can't get done. That's where it's going to be. And I'm going to be probably lock and step with you because I'm the one that's the coach that's put you in the spot. That's where you at.
And on the other side of it, kudos to Florida, dude. Like, you beat LSU at home.
Do you remember when I said before the year that
if they're bowl eligible,
for some reason, when we get to the end of this thing, because it's Florida, like I just see him somewhere sitting there around 7-8 wins, and that's kind of what I expect him to do because I just don't see Florida being a 4-win team like we all expected because of what the schedule was and what we saw from them recently. I don't see it.
Yeah, no doubt, dude. And look, their defense is playing really well, right? Obviously, LSU, they beat LSU, then they go Ole Miss. Ole Miss, they're ranked top 10 in the country. They're like supposed to be, they spend all that money on the defensive front, right, which has been elite. They're probably going to have 2 first-rounders on that defensive front 4. And you have DJ Lagway, who is a true freshman. That guy's going to be an issue for a long time in the SEC, right? The way he kind of navigates the pocket, the poise that he shows. He was only 10 of 17, but he threw for 180 yards, had 2 touchdowns, and made some crazy plays. Guys hanging up on him, and he's kind of changing his arm angle and dropping balls off and getting balls out and getting first downs on third downs. Like, he's going to be a big issue. But kudos to them, dude. I mean, they were left for dead. Coach was supposed to get fired. Now you feel like with that quarterback, man, they're kind of a desirable – feels like Billy kind of has his culture there and his scheme there and the guys there, and he's starting to bring in everyone. Now you have a true freshman quarterback who's going to be a sophomore next year, who's going to have a lot higher expectations. You'd imagine they're going to be kind of an enticing place for people to go now.
I don't really think it's kind of like it's 100% enticing. But you also got to remember, like when it comes to how quickly can they turn it and make it into something, that's the real question. Because all right, we got a sophomore quarterback who's coming back, but who are we filling this thing with? Because let's be honest, those guys that are coming in the portal, for the most part, they're coming for a year. Whether it's to win a championship and get to the next level, or just to win a championship, or just to get to the next level, they're probably coming for a year. So those guys really don't care in the sense of what you're building and what it looks out front, because they're worried about, I'm here for this one and that's what I'm doing. But when it comes to those young kids, when it comes to those freshmen that are coming in, you're thinking, all right, well, who can we get here when they get here? They can be impact players, because we only got this lag we got for this window, if that makes any sense when it comes to that. So, like, it's not the same as like building in a pro spot where it's, hey, I get a young CJ Stroud here, people can outlook for the next 5 years. That's really not a thing. Those guys that are looking at this place as a player, you're looking at it as, how can I get in on this window and either play now and be a part of this thing? Because remember, they're all getting money and they're all getting this opportunity everywhere. They want to come in and play and compete now. Or the guys that are coming in the transfer portal, they're literally looking for, one, I want to get paid, two, I want to get to the next level. How can I do that there? Because I'm not really worried about 3 years down the line.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And it really is a, God damn it, because Florida usually goes full Florida, and they would have fired him. Like every other time I've been around Florida football or seen it, that would have been the time that they would have gotten rid of.
Good for Strickland.
Yeah, good for Strickland. Well, I guess they don't have a president right now. They have an interim president. And so he would have had full autonomy to make a decision, but he stuck to his guns with Billy, and it has bared fruit because now you have somebody that you believe in.
No doubt.
And he's pulled off 2 straight wins, which is like.
And look, he's gonna play Florida. He's gonna win the last game of the season playing Florida State. So.
Well, he might fumble it.
If he fumbles that would be a bad loss.
They just won.
Yeah, that'd be a bad loss.
Just got their second win of the year.
Yeah, who they play? Like a FCS team? Nobody good. How about that Auburn Texas A&M game? Did y'all watch that?
The end of it was absolutely wild, man. I couldn't believe that game ended the way it did. I don't know. There's not many times I feel bad for a player or a kid or anything.
Yeah.
Legit felt bad for that kid because that's he's probably caught that ball 99 out of 100 times if he tried to, and to see him drop it in a situation like that is wild to me.
Yeah, that was tough. And then you got Peyton Thorne.
That's as much of a layup as you're going to get on a football field. That it really is.
And then Peyton Thorne threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
We knew the Auburn game was coming. I just thought it was going to be next week. I thought it was going to be this week, I guess. And I thought it was going to be the Alabama game. That Iron Bowl sets up for something special.
Hey, listen to me. South Carolina has a chance to maybe, if there's going to be a 3-loss SEC team in the playoffs, South Carolina set themselves up pretty nicely to try to sneak their way into it. They could play Clemson next weekend.
Who all have they lost to?
So I think people, if you're going to look at 3-loss teams, I think people would say Ole Miss. Their losses have been, I guess, better. South Carolina has lost to LSU, which they should have won. They lost to Ole Miss 27-3. That's why people think Ole Miss should be above them, because they beat them by a lot.
And then who was the other loss?
Alabama, by 2 points.
And what was that score?
27-25. They should have beat Alabama. They should have beat LSU.
There's a little bit of an argument, but I think people are not going to be able to look past them giving up a 17-point lead at home to LSU and then getting blown out at home against Ole Miss as well. Who are going to be 2 teams that are probably not going to make it in. So I think that's
100%.
going to be the death of them. Even though they're sitting there with the 3 losses possibly, and you could maybe bring up that conversation, I think that's going to be the death of them.
100%. Then you have the A&M. Obviously, A&M win is their biggest win. They beat them 44-20. They beat Missouri 30.
Skull Dragon teams.
I know they beat Missouri 34-30, and then this Clemson game this weekend. If they, I don't. It's going to be a long shot. Obviously, a lot of more drama has to happen in this last week of the season. But if they go out and they skull drag Clemson, and they kind of put a pressive showing, I wouldn't be shocked if they're in some conversations. But they need some help. Right? They don't control that. Their own destiny, but I mean they've been playing really well. They're going to be good too for a while because, if they keep the guys they got, the young guys they got, they're going to be really good.
It's a Beamer special.
I think it's fair to say this. Here's what I do think about South Carolina. I think it's fair to say that I don't think every win-loss record is created the same. And with that being said, is you look at the way that they've lost and who they've lost to and how they've lost those games, and I don't really care who they beat. You sit there and say, yeah, you guys are out. If you're a real team, like you're not losing to these teams and or losing in these kind of situations.
Right. Yeah, look, I don't think they're getting in, but they're going to be, nobody was talking to them 3 weeks ago, and now they've kind of forced their way. I think a lot of people are mentioning it because they end with Clemson. So it's another kind of like a high-profile type of game to kind of go and add to your resume. But they've played really well. I think they're 18th, or I don't know what they're
14th.
ranked. They're 14th right now in the country.
They're better than Penn State. I know that.
That Penn State should have lost to Minnesota. I was hoping they would lose.
Yeah.
So tired.
Who else? What else? What do we feel about? How do we feel about? Why am I not finding them now? Hold on. Still haven't found them. Indiana.
Not a bad enough loss to get them out.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Do you think that wasn't a bad enough loss to get them out? I don't think that they Danny Cannell.
Oh, what a miserable prick.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Whoops.
Danny Cannell comes out and says that, Indiana proved that they are worthy, right? Because his reasoning was because they held – I'm pulling up the stats. They held Ohio State to 316 total yards. That was his argument. They held his offense to 316 total yards, and they outgained them. They had more first downs. How many total yards do you think Indiana had in that game?
100-something.
153 yards. How they had 16 first downs, I have no idea. You have to get 10 yards for first down. You got 16. That's 160 yards, but you only had 153 total yards. 68 passing yards and
some big sacks.
85 rushing yards. One turnover, and time you beat them in time of possession. But you only had 153 yards of total offense. In my mind, it wasn't ever close. You scored 7 points early, then Ohio State got up 28-7 on you. I don't know. That's just
because I don't know how good Ohio.
Yeah, it really didn't get close. Like you said, they came out, they scored in the first drive, and they literally didn't do anything else the rest of the game. So it never got close again. Ohio State never really gotten threatened, and after I think it was the punt return, it seemed like the wind was just out of their sails, and the game was over at that point.
Yeah, I mean, look, Indiana's a good story, and they're probably still going to be in, but I'm not sold on them being a top 12 team in the country, but they're going to be in there. They're going to sneak their way in.
But it's not their fault that everybody keeps losing in the SEC.
No doubt. No, you're right. It's
I think that's a great point right there, Lloyd. I think that's probably the biggest point is that had you not had some of the losses you had around the country, specifically in the SEC that you had last week, I think the door would almost kind of be shut on them at this situation. But because of what happened, it's wide open at this point still. And I think that's going to be something that helps them huge in terms of getting into because you're going to be sitting here looking at, well, how many 3-loss SEC teams can you put over this team who's a 1-loss team, who's possibly a 1-loss team in that situation?
They're currently testing the theory of I don't care what happened on the field. I know which teams are good. Like you would, that at some point, the season has to matter. And if they're not going to take any weight on what happens on the field in the games that are played, you can't just go, well, I know that Georgia should be in. I know that Alabama should be in.
Right.
I know that these are the best teams, but at some point, and it sucks for the SEC because you play the hardest schedule. You play out of conference games that are actually tough. And your schedule from top to bottom now, it feels like this could be a one-off, but I don't think it is. We talked about this a little bit before the show. The parity that is happening within the SEC and within the country is because of the transfer portal. You have guys that are playing in other places that wouldn't be playing. They'd be waiting their turn to play for an SEC team. Instead, they're at Indiana or they're at Pittsburgh or that they're at another SEC school where they're shifting the balance of power in the competition to where Saturdays are now any given Saturday as opposed to kick the living shit out of them. It doesn't really matter who they have. Yeah. We have all of the talent in the world on the roster that isn't even playing.
Right.
Hey, let me ask you this. Is Colorado out of the Big 12 championship game? Because I know they're 6-2 in conference.
I don't think they're out, but they obviously need some help now. I think they did they held the keys. They did control their own destiny, but I do think at this point now they're going to need some help. I don't know exactly what that help is,
Right.
but I do think they need some help.
You have the tiebreakers, Lloyd, because they're 6-2, and they're 6-2. Arizona State 6-2. BYU 6-2. Who else is in the Big 12? I don't even know anymore.
This is what the committee is looking at in order to make a decision just as a decision. Like, these are where you are in terms of
Iowa State 6-2.
what football looks like.
I can't. I gotta get my glasses.
Oh, here we go. They won't see you.
I'm going blind.
But you have Oregon, obviously undefeated. Ohio State 10-1. Texas 10-1. Penn State 10-1. Notre Dame 10-1. Georgia 9-2. Tennessee 9-2. Miami 10-1, SMU 10-1.
Tulane's gonna sneak their way in there, huh?
Tulane 9-2, but then you have to go to top 25 wins, strength of schedule, top 10 wins, and this is a committee that I don't even know if they're paying attention to this. Like, is this what they're looking at, or are they watching football?
Oh. I think they're looking at all of it. I don't know how the tiebreaker shapes up for the Big 12.
South Carolina's one bad loss is currently to LSU, unranked.
Right, which is crazy because it's really not. I mean, at the time, it wasn't a bad loss. At the time, LSU would have said that was a bad loss for them. Now LSU's looking at it and said that was a good win for us. Look at that on the road. That Ole Miss.
Funny how these things play out, huh?
It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy. It's going to be interesting, though. It's going to be a great last weekend of the season. I love the last weekend of the season because of these types. LSU's been helped a lot in the last week of the season. Two times they won the national championship were because of November 30th or whatever that last date is. And I was obviously not going to help LSU this year, but it'll help somebody. Something's going to happen. You got the Egg Bowl.
Definitely going to help some.
Which I don't think Mississippi State has a shot. They stink. But you never know.
They're not that bad.
They're 0-7 in the SEC. They're 2-9.
Yeah, they keep it close. Might cover. Picked a bunch. Want to know. Also, I'm on just Ross Dellinger's Twitter because he goes through these scenarios better than most. Does this scenario now exist? Texas A&M upsetting Texas, advancing to the SEC championship game, losing to Georgia, and and now in contention with for a CFP bid with 4 losses would be A&M.
How would they be in contention? Because they lost the SEC championship game?
Yeah, so it would be 3 losses as opposed to it would be 4 losses, but 3 losses. Do you count the SEC championship as a loss?
Yes.
Some would argue against that.
I know that, but I mean,
just the number scares you. 4.
Like, now, I think the question is the other way. If they beat Texas, they go to the SEC championship game. They win the SEC championship game against who? Would it be? It wouldn't be Texas again, would it?
If Texas wins?
No, if A&M beats Texas.
A&M's in.
Who they play? Georgia. So then you go beat Georgia. Georgia's got 3 losses. Is Georgia in? I think that's the better question.
Yeah.
A&M is in with 3 losses, so you get 2 SEC teams in with 3 losses.
Or Georgia Tech could upset Georgia,
That's
and
not
2 3-loss teams meet in Atlanta for a spot in the CFP championship.
Wow.
Their playoff, excuse me.
Isn't it a wild? It's such a wild year.
That's what makes me so upset.
Outside of them being able to get in the playoffs, if you just looked at the records and say, okay, you're not in the playoffs, every one of those teams would say, damn, this is a disappointing year.
Oh, everybody's hanging their hat on what LSU was hanging its hat on, and that's why I think it's so frustrating for if you're an LSU fan, why this year has been so contentious as it is because everything around you is like not as – there's no one real power that you had to face. You could have been the one team to step up where you were kind of set up to do it in a sense when you have a quarterback that you kind of knew what you had. But I'm just saying, like, look around, and you had things break your way to where if you're LSU, you're looking at it going – damn, you kind of missed another shot to get into a playoff after last year you had historically the worst defense in your school's history. That one hurts. Then they expand the playoff, and you have teams that you felt, at least at one part of the year, that you were good enough to even get in, like you're good enough to win the SEC. Then you just want to be good enough to get in the playoff, and both those things are not going to happen. And then you got help along the way, and you still wouldn't. You did this to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think within programs, I think everyone's starting to realize they may not be saying it out, and they obviously may not be putting it off to the actual team and the players, but I think everybody's starting to realize that the days of the undefeated 16-0s and stuff like that because of the parity, because you can no one's stockpiling rosters like that anymore. You're going to start seeing that stuff a whole lot less. You're gonna, especially in the SEC, you're gonna stop seeing the undefeated team facing the one-loss team in the playoffs. Like, you're probably not gonna see as much of that stuff. And I do think coaching staffs and administration people are starting to understand that a little bit more, whether they're putting that out or not. And we on the outside who are not in the building, who don't see these guys, who don't recruit these guys, who don't talk to these guys, who don't break these guys down on film, it's gonna take a while for us to realize, like, oh, this is because of the parity. It's a little bit more like the pro model than it is just hey, we got the best 3-deep roster and we're gonna beat everybody week in and week out.
Well, it's set up to be an NFL style playoff without the NFL style playoff.
Right.
So it's a fucking mess.
But that's what I think it is. Like, I think outside in, every fan base does not see that and does not understand that yet. I think inside the building, upstairs in the offices and those conversations, I think they're understanding that a little bit quicker than a lot of people outside of it.
Agreed. It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna watch it. I think it's gonna
When
be.
does it happen?
You've had more viewership in college football this year than you've ever had before. So, it's working.
I guess we'll sign up to watch.
It's only going to happen when you got 12 teams still thinking they're in it at this point. At least 12. You really probably got about 20 of them. At least 12 thinking they're still in it at this point.
People argued about the 12-team playoff. I think it's proven opposite. I think the 12-team playoff proven that the regular season really does matter, and you're never out of it unless you're LSU and you've lost too many games. But
you were still in it.
You were in it with 3 losses. You know what I mean? So, going into the last weekend of the season, they still have no idea who's going to be in the 12-team playoff. And to me, that's awesome. And that's what it was intended for. It's working.
It's fucked itself so many times in a row that it doesn't really matter who you pick. Like, there's no wrong answer. It's whatever, let them play.
Yep, no doubt. What y'all got going on for Thanksgiving, boys? You're in Dallas. Obviously, you're there all week, which is a great place to be.
Yeah, you see what I got. This is where I'm at. I'll be here.
Yeah. Lloyd, what you
Hunker
got?
down, I'll be here, so I'll be here.
What's the first one to go on the screen? What's on the movie? Oh, man, I watched the Megan Fox movie where she's a robot last night. Fucking wild.
I don't even know what movie that is.
I forgot what it is.
What movie is that?
I'll look it up in a second, but it's on Apple TV. No, it was awesome.
Did you you see Vince Vaughn has another
Christmas movie?
No, has a TV show coming to Netflix. And apparently,
does he have cancer or something? Why is he trying to get the bag so
apparently
often?
It's like it's a comedy on like this
Bad Monkey was good.
Oh, Bad Monkey. That's the one you told me to watch.
Yeah, it's good.
I haven't seen it.
That's another Vince Vaughn. He's full Vince Vaughn.
I love that.
Yeah, he's a quick talker.
Yeah, I love that. I haven't seen a good movie over here. I watched Twisters the other day. I told you that. First time.
Gladiator 2?
I want to go see that in the movie theater.
Me too.
You want to go together?
I would, actually. I
Let's
love
do it.
going to the theater. That'd be fun.
Me too. Allie wouldn't go see that with me, so I love going to the movie theater.
Have you
Apparently,
seen
it's got the bad reviews, so don't call me the spoiler, but that's just what I've been hearing.
It's gotten bad reviews.
So what I've been hearing, that's
Yeah.
I was in the thought of going to see it too. That's just what I've been hearing. So I don't know what that means.
Oh, Denzel's in it. Can't be bad.
I'm in the same camp where I'm like Denzel's in it. I probably want to see it anyway, but I'm just.
Have you seen Denzel's lineup of movies before he retires?
No.
He's in like 4 bangers. Like 4 movies that are going to be, damn, he's in this one, this one, this one. You're like, damn, Denzel's in all those movies and then he's going to retire.
Equalizer 4.
No, nothing like that. Like
it's but it's coming back. That's what he said. He's like, damn, them white folks love Equalizer.
Is it? Does he have another one?
Yeah.
I'll watch them all.
I love them.
Yeah. But he's in like, I don't know, he's in a bunch. And like the titles of the movie, you'd be like, damn, he's in that movie? Gladiator 2 is obviously one of them. Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to go the old.
Oh, Equalizer 4 and 5. Let's fucking go.
Wow, 4 and 5.
$570 billion.
What else we got? What other movies is he in?
Very few films left that he wants to star in.
Upcoming movies that he is going to be in before he retires is what the article I read was.
Well, that's a great way to phrase it.
But I'm going to Lafayette on Wednesday.
I forgot it was
And
even
then Thanksgiving.
yeah. Usually I don't get this time off.
I'm glad you do.
I don't know if I do or not. We'll
Well, you
see.
do
I
you
do on
from
this
us.
show.
You do from
Yes.
us.
So that's nice.
Um,
Hosted this morning.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. That's a regular thing now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Could you?
He had a bellyache.
Ah, the old bellyache
Mm-hmm.
happens. It's part of it.
It is, That's life.
It's life. You
Oh,
never
here's
know.
the next batch of films.
Here we go.
Black Panther 3.
Oh yeah, that was the other one.
Othello.
So
That's a good one.
yeah, I know. So Black Panther. Apparently, he was Chadwick Boseman's he was a mentor to him.
Yeah, he gave
so
him a shout out.
and so that was that's part of the reason why I wanted to do that.
And King Lear, I don't know what any of these is he a big hit? Like, what is he? Is he in his Jay-Z era? Whenever he starts rapping about paintings and shit.
Speaking of Jay-Z, it's not Jay-Z, but how about Kendrick Lamar just dropping an album out of nowhere?
Yeah, why Lil Wayne got to catch a side beat? Come on now.
I haven't listened to it yet. Is it good, Jay? Have you seen it? Have you listened to it?
I've heard. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, I hadn't listened to it yet, but just came out of nowhere.
I like Kendrick Lamar and I love his I know he's a good rapper. I don't know what he's rapping about.
What do you mean?
So are you saying he's too smart for you?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what he's talking about or who he's talking about.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair enough.
It's just over my head, dude.
That's fair enough. It sounds good though.
Yeah, it sounds
sounds
good, but people are like,
My man said he likes a dry sandwich. You don't like all the condiments.
no, and that's coming from. I'm a huge Eminem fan. That's why I love the way that he raps. I understand his beefs. I didn't know Kendrick had beef with all these people. So I'm not educated enough to jump into the honors class. I need to redo regulars.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I haven't listened to it yet. It's enough to say.
Well, you're gonna know.
What do you mean? You still call me dumb?
Yeah, I don't think we're up to date on what Kendrick got beef with. I didn't know he hated Drake like that.
Oh, I knew that.
Oh, he's been doing it for years.
Yeah, I knew that. But I mean, who else does he have beef with?
That's what I don't know.
I mean, who else do you like? You obviously know he has beef with someone else.
Yeah, well, he apparently. I don't think it was a shot at Wayne, but Wayne took it as a shot when he was talking about bumping Carter 3, and then he did the video where he's posted up and it looks like the Carter 2 cover. He really takes that shit serious.
Well, Wayne needs to just drop the Carter 6.
I mean, it is his profession, Lloyd. I think that's probably a good idea to take your profession serious.
You might be too deep into it.
The rumor was a Carter 6 would get released this year. Obviously, that doesn't seem like that's happening. So.
Well, it could be it. I'm telling you.
I feel like Mikey's been leaking that rumor himself for the last 2-3 years.
Dude,
himself.
it keeps popping up.
You've been the one that's keeping that rumor alive.
It keeps popping up.
He's the only person I hear it from.
It literally keeps popping up on all these freaking people, these Hip Hop Nation shit. It's oh, Carter 6 rumored to be released in December of 2024.
Wayne said it's done.
And I'm like, Jesus, says it's done. He's ready, just waiting for it to release. And he releases the fix before the 6th. I'm like, fucking do it.
Give it to the album.
Just release it to us.
We all think, but I think that this is still a long play that he's going to be at the Super Bowl. He's playing.
He ain't playing.
This is part of a little.
Time's getting short. It ain't that long anymore.
Yeah, he ain't playing.
No, I think he is.
Okay, we'll see.
Kendrick, this is manufactured beef, and then he's going to bring Kendrick's going to bring out Wayne, and it's going to be a party.
A party?
Right.
A big New Orleans party?
And this will be in the game.
And then they're going to bring out Trombone Shorty, and they're going to bring out everybody from New Orleans?
Yeah, it's going to be a Hot Boys reunion.
Juvenile.
Yes.
Master P, now you're just coming in there out of nowhere. Silk the Shocker, his son's
Victorious
already in Baton
Miller's
Rouge.
the best player on the team.
Son's already in Baton Rouge. Might as well just show up.
He might be the best player on the team.
Oh, he is good.
Bring out Denzel.
What?
Denzel will be there.
Yeah, filming his movie.
Yeah.
Filming a new movie. All right. Let's get to the seggies. You got a mistake of the day, Lloyd? Brought to you by our friends at Dozy Place.
We crossed our wires here because I see your curtain call was my mistake of the
Mine?
day. Yes, or somebody's. I think it might have been Jay Mitch. Whoever put it in the doc.
The equipment guy?
Yeah,
that's me.
But I have another one. I always come prepared with two, as we talked about Florida and their run from 2024 National Champs FQ Vols. This has been a little bit of a theme here for people promising to do things if things happen in college football, and now they're all having to eat crow, because he said, I will tattoo Billy Napier's face on my ass if Florida beats LSU, Ole Miss, and FSU on the road. Trending in that direction, as I believe it's already happened.
That guy.
Or they have FSU next.
No, he's got Florida State next.
And then the guy, it has now become, he's quote tweeted it, the guy that tweeted this. Here, I have it right here. For all the people, to all the Gator fans collecting on this, I understand. I will not be getting a tattoo as I did not make this post. But since y'all helped us out, if you beat FSU, I'll do something nice for y'all that does not involve wearing or tattooing Florida anything. Suggestions below. Also, please don't harass the OP. He's out, and we took care of it. But anything the Gators wanted to see me do to show love and appreciation, I'll do. Thank you for if it's charity, whatever. So he's trying to go back. I don't believe him.
Wait, so he's saying somebody else tweeted that?
Yeah, that doesn't run the account anymore. I don't believe him. I think it's the same person. He's just trying to cop out of a bet because the last person that did this had to eat shit out of a red Solo Cup.
Didn't do it.
And Florida State has only won one game since, and that was against the college of South Charleston last week.
But then you had another guy who said he was going to put a burrito on his ass, and he did it.
He did it.
He did it.
And I'm sure that worked out for whatever team he did it for. But
No
this is the age of Twitter where people will, new media, they will hold you. They'll hold you accountable.
Yep, accountability is a big thing.
I don't think getting a tattoo of Billy Napier's face, it's literally from like the water boy. Mama don't know won't hurt you.
Yeah, I mean,
like, just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, fine.
I guess if you're a Tennessee Volunteer fan, that would be interesting to have Billy Napier's face on your ass.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be the worst. You could make
Tough
it.
situation.
You could definitely make it funny.
And make it small.
Or make it the mouth.
Wow, that's a lot. You could make it funny, but that would be a mistake of the day, no doubt. All right, curtain call brought to you by our friends at Perkins and McKenzie. Wow.
And?
Me?
Yes.
What we got?
I've got yours because I already had this queued up, and it is unbelievable.
So my curtain call is to now the mistake of the day that Lloyd was going to have is the opposite of what my curtain call is going to be.
It was a twofer.
It was a twofer. My curtain call is to this equipment guy for Cal. When things happen, you got people on the field, a lot of crazy stuff goes on. They try to steal some stuff for themselves. This guy thought it'd be good if he stole a helmet from a player.
They take their equipment serious.
No doubt. Helmets are expensive. Look at this guy take off. Take off. Great form. Great form. Avoids the tackle. Boom. Gets him. Slams him on the ground. Suplexes him. Grabs the helmet and then gives him an extra little shove. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
What are you doing?
Just watch it again. Watch it again. He sees him. Reads.
Boom.
Reacts. Takes off. Avoids the obstacle. Boom. In stride. Gets him on the ground. Gone. Even with some guy trying to block him. Didn't work. Gives him a little shove.
Incredible.
Great for that equipment guy. He should get a raise.
Absolutely.
Or a scholarship.
Yeah, because you saw the same thing play out with the Sanders situation where they wanted the football, and he's like, you can't have the football, and then it turned into a whole. But they love their equipment.
Yeah.
They don't give away footballs. They don't give certainly not a helmet.
Yeah, certainly not helmets. I mean, helmets is a big one.
Certainly not helmet.
Yeah, that was gonna be a little hard. I mean, that guy was probably gonna try to walk out the stadium with it on.
Oh, it would have been all time.
Yeah,
it would have been all time.
No doubt.
But did y'all keep your high school helmet?
No.
Jared, do you have yours? I feel like they.
Yeah, I have mine.
Yeah.
I do not.
Yeah, I do.
They did a big thing at Menard where you couldn't keep it, and then I still have mine. It's just
Of course you do.
They threatened to you can't graduate, and I was like, I feel like that's not how it works in the state. So we'll go ahead and play this game.
Yeah, I did not have a helmet. I wish I did.
So I kept the helmet. Still got it. Fire.
Fire.
Actually, it's not that good. It's when
you put the visor on.
Oh, of course. But the Revo helmets came out, and it's like the 2-bar. It's not even the cool ones. That's the coolest one that they had to offer. We all had to have Revos because concussions. Like, buddy,
You had the one with the big Thurman Thomas middle bar down
No,
there?
I should have done that as a bit. I probably would have. But it's the old Demetrius Bird style face mask. Like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I want the Patrick Peterson.
Yeah.
Jay, what you got for curtain call? You got one?
My curtain call goes to, I hope the families of the front office of the specific team is enjoying every single bit of every single restaurant and sight and scene and park and everything that they can, because after watching Saquon Barkley last night, I think the New York Giants front office I think their days are numbered at this point, and I think it's pretty much over. So my curtain call goes to Saquon because he continues to go off this year. And had a chance earlier this year to set his career high, passed it on, said, I don't want it. Only 2 weeks later, still set his career high, which is impressive as hell. So it's to Saquon and to that front office, the families of the front office. Because I hope they're enjoying it because those days have got to be numbered. There's just no way you keep going with the same thing.
Listen to me. The worst thing that could have happened to Hard Knocks offseason was to have that clip and to have that conversation on camera and for Saquon Barkley to do what he's doing right now. And we talked about it as it happened. Everybody talked about it as it happened. Like, boy, if the Giants stink and Saquon Barkley is what everybody expects Saquon Barkley to do, especially in the offense that he's in, which seems like it's just tailor-made for Saquon Barkley. If he does what everybody thinks he's going to do.
The one team that he's like, I'll be sick to my
skin. The one team that he did not want to listen to.
I'll throw myself off the Brooklyn
goes there
Bridge.
On a chance to have 2,000 yards rushing, maybe win the MVP as a running back. Boy, nobody else is going to want to be a part of that for to have a chance of that happening. But yeah, kudos to Saquon because he is a monster.
And you forget too, like we forget about this point of it too. But not only did you paid Daniel Jones, which is what it is, right? You believed in him, you wanted to build it around him. I'm not even really off the Saquon Barkley thing, but this is where it gets real crazy is that at this point in the year, which is like 12 weeks of the season, you release this man because you no longer think he's good enough to play. And not only do you release him, the guy you start after him who was already on your roster, but you paid a backup $5 million in Drew Lock to come there and be your backup. And he didn't even start the game.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
About it is
I don't understand that.
Yo, this is not working.
How do you put DeVito as a quarterback when you have a guy that you paid to be the backup and who has a lot more starting experience in the NFL?
That's my point. Yeah. That's where it's like, yeah, y'all got to go because this don't work at all.
Yeah, this ain't happening. It's tough, and you kind of knew it. You kind of knew after that episode, you're like, damn, this is gonna all be the season's gonna be. You're gonna go back to that moment, and hey, you bought into.
It's been played. Yeah, it's getting all the airwaves.
I mean, it's getting all of it, right? You bought into Daniel Jones. You gave him a lot of money, obviously, before that year. Now you don't have enough money to sign Saquon. Saquon wanted to be there, your best player, crowd favorite, leaves, and now he's doing better than anybody could have ever imagined him doing right now. And it's tough. Tough tickets.
Yep.
Your GM was the third smartest person in the room. First of all, his kid was the first smartest one, saying trade for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah,
you only get one job. You get one chance at this job. He's like, no, not going to do it. And then that other poor staffer that was sitting in the kids' corner going, are we sure that somebody's not going to sign Saquon if we let him go to the free agency? Like, I'm pretty sure he's going to be the best player. And he's like, you can get any running back you want. And he's like, okay. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have your job.
And they paid for Devin Singletary, and he's not even the starter either.
Yeah.
Yes.
So him in free agency.
That was the other.
Job.
That was the other play. That was the other part of that conversation. They went through all of the freaking running backs in free agency and they didn't get any of them. They didn't get any of those guys.
They pulled the one they want. They signed Devin Singletary, and he's not even the starter at this point.
Yeah.
So it's been just very bad. As bad as it could get.
Curtain call to that Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Because they'll never do that again.
Nope. That's done.
Yeah, they bamboozled the shit.
That's like
killed it.
One season.
They killed it.
That's like this year. You're gonna have the midseason is a whole division.
Yeah.
No, not one team in whole division.
Oh my God.
Off season next year.
And you look back on it, you start to think. And you look back on it now, you start to think like, if we're really good at making decisions, why in God's green earth will we ever show you how we make these decisions? Hell no, you can't come in our room. Like what?
And listen, whether they're good decisions or bad decisions, the right decisions or the wrong decisions, like you don't know at that moment if they're going to be. So like you're putting yourself out there in a situation for this to happen where you have all these sound bites if it goes badly. Now if it goes great, it looks awesome on you and it makes you look like a genius. But at that point you have no clue.
It couldn't go worse.
Couldn't go worse. I mean, he's on
any worse than what it's went. Yeah,
he's in your division on a Super Bowl contending team, has a chance to win the MVP and rush for 2,000 yards. Like, could not have gone any worse.
You let your quarterback
In
walk.
a time frame where they're sitting here saying running backs are extinct, we're trying to get rid of them all, we don't want to pay any of them, and he goes and does this.
And then you release the quarterback that you had on your team. No longer on your team.
It's almost comical.
Yeah, it's tough. Tough. Boy, New York football, not great. Saw today that I'm going to forget the head coach. They used to be the head coach for Pete Carroll.
That's the guy.
Yep, that's the name. Pete Carroll is rumored to have interest in the New York Jets job.
He's going to sign Matt Leinart.
So we shall see there. But New York football teams are in a very bad spot. Have been in a bad spot for a long time. All right, that's all we got for you tonight. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Enjoy Monday Night Football, the Harbaugh. We didn't even talk about the Harbaugh Bowl going on right now.
Who's winning?
Jim Harbaugh beating his brother John Harbaugh right now 7-0, which means the Chargers are beating the Ravens right now 7-0. Justin Herbert rushed at a 5-yard rushing touchdown.
Damn it.
Why?
I wanted to put in an anytime touchdown.
Plus 1,600. Oh, first touchdown score is plus 1,600.
Those are so much. It's too exciting.
Yeah, I know. Enjoy the rest of Monday Night Football. Enjoy the rest of your week. We apologize. We're not going to be in studio on Wednesday. Obviously, it's the day before Thanksgiving. Everybody's going to hopefully be traveling, going home to see their families. And then, obviously, Friday after Thanksgiving, which is Black Friday, we will not be in studio because people will still be with their families. We'll be back live in studio next Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. We will be, obviously, very active on Twitter. We're going to throw our mic'd up parlays back in there. We got to – if you don't succeed, you try and try again. It was not a good weekend for us. The weekend before we won, we're going to try to get back on the winning ways on this Saturday. So keep a lookout for us. I think if you don't want to follow us, that's fine.
Oh, Fonz is giving a shit.
Why?
No show Wednesday, no show Friday. Like, I have to work the next 2 weeks. Like, don't be mad at me because you're a butcher and you have to kill turkeys. Like, this is your time to shine.
Lloyd's going to go home. Yeah, this is a big moment.
Yeah,
this is
so
a big
busy.
Week for him.
Yeah, a lot of people aren't working.
Big month for him.
And you get to pardon one turkey.
Pardon?
That's what the president
pardons.
Yeah,
he does. He's not a president.
No, but one of your turkeys might get pardoned.
Maybe.
That's less work for you.
Exactly. You don't have to slaughter it.
That's right.
Or
slaughter it.
Take the feathers out or debone it. Do whatever you need to do. Has anybody had a turducken?
No, I've always seen it.
I've never had a turducken, but
good.
Obviously it's a John Madden thing. No. They explained what the turducken was, which obviously if you just break down the name, it's a turkey, duck, and chicken all together.
I mean, he got the teleshader out. Those were the days. Like, football's not the same anymore.
No.
This is when you get old. I really do. I miss old content. Commercials were funnier.
The commercials were a lot funnier.
You had boom to Durkin, and now we got Tom Brady who doesn't even know what he's talking about in the booth.
Tom Brady is he likes to talk about bad football. Everybody they're playing. He points out bad football very often. He points it out very often. He did it a lot yesterday with the 49ers. It's just bad football. It's just bad football. You got to make that, which is it is bad football, but
give me why. I guess
he did give you some why, but
I guess he can't expound on bad football and he played good football.
Well, then he doesn't have all the insights because he can't have the meetings and stuff.
Yeah, it's highway robbery what he's doing, and I'm so jealous.
10% owner of the Raiders means he makes a lot of money,
and he doesn't have to go to work until Sunday.
Right. That's great. All right.
What the hell are y'all doing?
That's all we got. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.
Thank God.
Have a happy Thanksgiving. Be safe. We'll see you on Monday. If you're gonna go Friday, good luck. We love y'all.
Oh, dude, I did there's old videos of me on YouTube. I did Black Friday. I did a vlogumentary back when YouTube was new. Yeah.
Wow. How'd it work out for you?
Good. It's got almost 800 views.
Really?
Yeah.
Good
Edited it on Apple.
You went out there and you were just in the
thick of it. Yeah. I dressed up. I wore a suit.
Good for you.
News Channel 6.
Good for
Check
you.
it out.
All right. All right. Peace.